I'm on this really cool walking path and I'm just scouting it out because at some point I'm going to rollerblade it. I'm waiting for some wrist guards that I ordered in the mail. The thing is, it's so quiet here with it. When something's loud, it's really loud. And I'm not really in town that much, but when I am, it feels difficult to navigate because I'm not used to navigating it, which could be a hint for when I go back home. These big things are cool when they flicker in the wind. Can't really tell. This path, I think, is something like 40 miles. Which is a long way to go when one is out of shape. So it might be a way that I can start getting into shape. Because in all the experiments I've talked about recently that I may or may not do, getting into shape would be very beneficial. Because I think if I can transform into the superhuman version of myself, like I am in mania, but without having to be manic, but just by doing things to move towards that, like I've talked about with myself. That would be really cool. And it's interesting that I went into that superhuman mania form when I was 100% raw vegan and my body was very, very healthy. And I don't think that's the only way, but it might play a role, it might be a factor. And I actually feel like eating junky foods like I am right now helps keep me heavy and lower and in this reality. Look at the color of those hedges. Well, I'm gonna see where I am on the map right now because I'm not intending to go all this way, but scope it out. That looks like kind of a bump over there, so there's some bumps. It's probably more suitable for biking than rollerblading. Actually, it would be cool to buy a small camper van and then drive to different places and just rollerblade and stand-up paddleboard. I've only done that once, but it was quite enjoyable. Because I'd rather have this different and interesting to me lifestyle than work the way society would say to, because it's possible that by doing that, which a lot of people do, they'll become mountain climbers or ice climbers or something to show that one can get stronger through these types of challenges. So I might end up doing the same thing on purpose, but not just to show strength through challenges, but just because it's more fun. I think the main thing that seems to be blocking is the financial thing, because one needs money to buy these things in order to live that way. But the cost of the alternative, the cost of going back to living the way that I was, working in mental health. And I still want to work in mental health indirectly by talking with myself and maybe starting conversations with others and setting up this emotional CPR thing. I guess there's different layers and levels of things. And then also co-creating with my friend, which is still there, but it's just not really happening yet. So a bunch of these things I'll amp up once I know a little bit more information about eCPR. So it's really a matter of just patiently waiting and unfolding. One thing's for sure, I have a lot to say. It would actually be really good to integrate movement into this dialogue because I'm just not moving enough. I guess what I'm trying to figure out in a way is if it can all become integrated. Like one day, this is the coolest house I've ever seen. It's like down low, and then there's this big tree, and the branch goes along and up, and it's dark, and there's a stream. Oh, it's beautiful. Like one day I can imagine integrating some kind of live stream if I'm still on this talking to myself all the time. It seems like if I was free all the time and had all my time to myself, then I could just pop on the live stream and talk that way, which people are starting to do. And a lot of this depends on technology, like the data that one can have access to when one is out and about, and the speed. So it's interesting. It's almost like maybe there's a race in a way to see who people will pay attention to remotely. Because right now it's TV or Netflix or Facebook, but one day people will be able to connect all the time, real time, all over the earth, instead of, well, I'll go to this workshop because it's local and it's happening next door. And I guess that's the virtual reality thing too, but I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself with that stuff. And it makes it seem like I have some kind of motive, but if I do have any kind of motive, it's to motivate people like me, not just in the way that we've been told that it's okay to feel motivated, like sharing our story, but actually reconnecting with this new intelligence in our brain, this other faculty of intelligence that we don't reconnect with because we're told that it's just a mental illness. And in my experience as me, all of this talking can't be just mental illness. It actually could be seen as a sign of mental illness, but I'm not sure that it is. And the good thing is that there's so much of it that people who just watch a minute and turn it off won't get it. So it's almost like getting rid of the people who wouldn't resonate just by virtue of the fact that one would have to watch more than a minute or two to actually resonate with it. Or after a minute or two, someone would either resonate or not. And it's to resonate with one's own self. So I would be most happy if somebody else who's been through this kind of stuff watched something I have to say for 2 minutes and then just reactivated one's own voice and just talked to oneself and other people for the rest of one's life and not listen to this stuff. It's about each of our voices together. And that's where the power is, if we start saying, maybe this isn't just a meaningless mental illness, maybe it's something else. And we don't even know exactly what it is. But if we start talking together in this way, then we might actually start to discover something. I'm more interested in that than just what I have to say to myself. I'm more interested in what other people might say to me or themselves from hearing a little bit of what I say to myself, which isn't even a voice of my ego self. It's something else, and it's a voice we all share. And last night I also slept well, and I took the half of a Seroquel and 1 trazodone and lithium. Still taking the hearty nutritional stuff, and so that's going well. And it's just a couple days to ECPR, which I'm really excited to take and see if it resonates. I feel like I need to center in something before going to ECPR, like read up on some information or just get in that mindset, because I haven't really been in that mindset for a couple of months. And I was sharing with somebody that there's this pull into beauty, just perceiving beauty and being with beauty forever, but there's this other inner richness of compassion that understands that there's so many people like me out there suffering, and I still suffer too, but I'm still moving towards beauty. But what I'm trying to say is that pull of compassion, I wouldn't be able to just stay in beauty all my life by myself. I have to also do something with that sense of compassion, because we're all one. And if other people are suffering through this kind of thing, it still affects me. And that's why I spend a lot of my time talking to myself about this stuff, because something has to be done. And that's why I'm so hopeful about ECPR, because maybe it'll be part of this something that has to be done.